Hello friends and welcome back. So before we start with the formal introduction of Terraform, okay, so before that I will cover the basic introduction to the AWS cloud, okay, because Terraform we mostly use for the provisioning of the cloud resources, okay. For example, you want to create some virtual machines, you want to configure the storage, okay. So overall, this Terraform we mostly using for the configuration of the cloud resources. So it is very important you should have some good understanding of any of the cloud service provider services. Okay, it's not about AWS because Terraform is a cloud agnostic. That means you can use Terraform to configure the resources for any cloud service provider. So if you have some good knowledge of AWS or like some other cloud, Google Cloud, Azure Cloud, or any other cloud, IBM Cloud, Oracle Cloud, okay, so you can skip this session. This is not really required. But if you do not have knowledge of a cloud service provider services, okay, if you do not have experience on the cloud, okay, then do not skip this session because I will explain the AWS, okay, the you can say the important core concepts of AWS, okay, and that will help you to understand this Terraform easily. Even that will help you to understand in work in the cloud as well. Okay, so I'm going to complete all the critical components, or you can say all the critical subsystems that you should understand before you start working on the Terraform, right? Because most of the lab exercises will be based on the AWS cloud in this course, okay? So it is good to have understanding of all the core services and components of the AWS cloud. And in fact, most of the concepts that I'm going to explain in this particular session, okay, that is not specific to AWS cloud. Certain terms or names will get changed, but the core concept of all these things will be same across all of the cloud service providers, right? So let us start with the introduction to the AWS cloud. So now what exactly is the AWS cloud? Okay, so we know that cloud is a kind of a services where we take the services on the rental basis from some cloud service providers, right? So here we are going to cover the AWS. Okay, so AWS here is a cloud service provider, and we can take the multiple services from the cloud service provider based on the rental basis, right? We can take the services and we can pay bill based on the agreed model, either monthly, quarterly, or yearly. Okay, as whatever you opt, right? And then we have a cloud console. You can access the cloud console from the browser, and then you can start using your different services, right? Now, because AWS is a cloud service provider, which is also called the CSP, right? So they have the multiple data centers across the world, not specific in a particular country, across, in fact, the multiple cities across the world. Okay, so there are some static terms, okay, which you should get a clarity what is the meaning of all those terms, okay, because when we will configure the resources with the help of Terraforms, okay, so all these terms will come in the picture during the configuration. So I will explain you by drawing some figures. Right. Now suppose that we are talking about the data centers, AWS data centers. Now this is a picture, or you can say a diagram that I have defined for the world, complete world. Okay. So that means what I'm saying is AWS has multiple data centers across the world. Right. So this is a figure that I'm drawing just to say it is the complete world. So this world term is defined by the geography. Geography. Okay. So basically what we say, the cloud service provider, it is not about AWS, any of the cloud service provider, okay, has the data centers across the world, or you can say across the different geography. Okay. So geography means it could be any of the country across the world. Okay. So this is the very first thing that will come, geography. Okay. That means the entire world, or you can say the different countries that we have in the world. Okay, so now to explain some other terms in an easy way, so I'm going to take example of two countries. For example, let me take USA, okay, and second I am taking as an India. Okay, so these are the two countries that I have taken from this term, which is called the world, or from the geography, right? So when we say geography, so we can say USA, is a separate geography. We have India is a separate geography, and we have a different continents across the world, right? We have 6 or 7 continents, and then we have different countries in the different continents. Okay, so that means when we say about the geography, that means we are talking about the entire world. That means the and all the countries that we have in the entire world. Okay, so here out of all these geography, I have taken the two countries, India and USA. Right. Now, in each and every country, we have a different cities, right? So let me take the example of some cities in the USA. Okay. So let us take one example, Virginia. The first country I have taken as example in USA is Virginia. Okay. So let us take second is Ohio. Third, let us take California. California. Okay. So I have taken three cities here, and let me take two examples in India as well. So let us take Mumbai, Mumbai, and here let me take Hyderabad. Hyderabad. This is Mumbai. Okay. So now I have taken three cities, okay, or you can say that three states out of the USA country, and similarly, I have taken two states or two cities in India. Okay. So now these cities, which is part of the different geography, or you can say different countries, is referred as the regions. Regions. Sorry. Okay. So when we say regions, you can easily understand it is referring to the different states or different cities that we have in a particular country. Okay, so I have taken example of three countries in USA and two countries in India. Now, in each and every region, that means each and every state or city, there are different data centers. For example, in Virginia, we have data center 1, data center 2, and data center 3. Similarly, in Ohio, you will have a data center 1, data center 2, and data center 3. Similarly, in California, you will have data center 1, 2, 3, and it could be 4 as well. Okay, so there are different data centers. Okay, based on the different regions and geography across the world. So in Mumbai, we can have suppose we have three data centers. Okay, I'm just taking an example of to give you the overview of regions and then availability zones. Okay, so the count may be differ. I will show you on the AWS site as well, documentation as well. Now, similarly in Hyderabad, I will have maybe I have only two data centers, right? So now, if you see here, when I started explaining, first term that I referred as a different geography. Geography means the entire world, and then the different countries in the particular geography. And inside the particular country, I have taken the example of different cities or the different states. And inside each and every state or a city, we will have the different data centers. So these data centers, which is part of the regions, okay, these data centers are referred as, sorry, availability, oh, sorry, zones. These are referred as availability zones. Let me write it here. Availability zones. So these three are the very important terms to understand: geography, then regions, and then availability zones. Okay, so geography means the entire world, and from entire world you can take example of any of the countries. I have taken the example of USA and India, right? Which is, and each and every country we will have a different states or different cities like the Virginia, Ohio, California, and USA, Mumbai, Hyderabad in India. So these refer as the regions, and inside each region we will have the multiple data centers. So now, for example, in Virginia we will have three data centers. In Ohio, we again have three data centers. California, we may have four data centers. Similarly, in Mumbai, we will have three data centers, and in Hyderabad, we have two data centers. So, what is the meaning of different data centers? This is to provide the high availability. Okay. For example, in Virginia, we have three different cities where we have our three data centers: data center one, data center two, and data center three. Okay. So, suppose that you have any disaster or any problem in the data center one, your application will be accessible from the other data center, which is part of the same region. Okay, and that's why when we configure the resources in the AWS cloud, so what we do, for example, if you have going to configure your resources in the Virginia, right? And now you are going to create two virtual machines, VM1, VM2, and VM3. So you are going to configure three virtual machines. So during the configuration of the virtual machines, what we do, for first virtual machine, we can select the first data center. For second virtual machine, we can select the second data center. And for third virtual machine, we can select the third data center, right? So now what will happen in that case, we will have the hardware redundancy. That means the VM1 is on data center 1, VM2 is on data center 2, VM3 is on data center 3. Sorry. Okay. So now if suppose that your data center 1 get crash, so your application will be accessible from other virtual machines which is running on the different data centers. So that is the importance of availability zone. So whenever we configure the resources, okay, so first we have to select what is the geography or where we want to configure the resources. Based on that, you have to select the different regions. Okay, so once you have selected the region, so in each and every region, you will have some specific number of data centers. And when we configure the resources like virtual machine, so what we do, we select the different availability zones. So these data centers are referred as the availability zones. Okay, so whenever you are going to configure the AWS resources either from the AWS cloud in the browser, or maybe you are going to use the Terraform for configurations, okay, you have to specify in which region you want to configure your resources. So what are the important keywords that we have learned here with respect to the AWS? Geography. Then second is the region. Region means the specific city or maybe the specific state. And then availability zones means the different data centers that we have inside the particular state or a city for the high availability. Right. So these are the three critical important terms that you should understand when you start working on the cloud. Okay. So similarly, if you are going to work on any of the some other cloud service providers like the Azure, Google Cloud. Okay. So this geographic concept will be same. Geography means that different countries across the world. Okay. When we say regions and availability zones. Okay. So it may be possible that some other cloud service provider referring these terms with some different keywords. For example, here in the AWS we have the availability zones. Okay, so for some other cloud service provider, they may be referring as it as a availability domains. Okay, so that means the keyword will get changed. Okay, but the concept will be same. Every cloud service provider has the different data centers across the world, which we have divided into the different regions, and inside the regions they have the different data centers to which they are referring as the availability zones or maybe the availability domain. Okay. So when you are going to work in the AWS cloud or in fact on any of the cloud, okay. So very first thing that you have to select is the region. Very first you have to select the region, in which region you want to configure the resources. So basically what we do when we configure our resources, so we select the region based on the nearest one. For example, if I'm in India, so I'm going to select the Mumbai or Hyderabad or maybe any other city or state which is available in the India, right? So that the performance of my applications will be good, right? Because I'm going to access my applications from the India, and if my data center is in India where my application is deployed to be in the data center which is part of the India, so my performance of the application will be good, right? So this is a very generic practices. Whenever you go to select the region, you select the particular state or a city which is nearest by to you, from where you are expected to use your access your applications. Okay, so the very first thing, as I said, you need to select the region. So I will show you in the AWS console as well. Okay, so now once you have selected the region, okay, and then you are going to configure resources. For example, you are configuring the multiple virtual machines, so the availability domains, or you can say availability zones, options will automatically shown to you whenever you are going for the configurations. Okay, so now apart from that, when we say that you have to select the region, so every region has a code. If I say Mumbai, so Mumbai has some specific code which is something like AP hyphen south hyphen 1. Okay, which is Asia Pacific, okay, and South hyphen 1. So by this way, the different regions are identified in the AWS. So for each and every region, you will have a code like this one, which you can see in the AWS documentation as well as on the console as well. Once you log into the AWS console, okay, so you can create your free account. It's very straightforward. You can go to the AWS website and then you can create your free account. Okay, and then there are certain services that you can use without any cost, without paying anything for a year of a time. Okay, and that would be a good option for you to explore the AWS services. Okay, or to get a good hands-on on the AWS services. Okay, so I will share that link with you as well, where we have posted multiple sessions in our channel. Okay, how to create an AWS account, how to create the EC2 machines. Okay, so you can go through those videos, and it's a very short video and very straightforward, and you will get a complete end-to-end understanding of the cloud. Okay, how to work on the cloud, how to create the machines, how to access the virtual machines once it is created. Okay, so it's very straightforward, and you can easily understand that as well. Right. So now the other important thing, suppose now when you are working on a cloud, okay, so here you need to protect your resources, right? So whatever the resources or applications that you are have inside the cloud, okay, that need to be protected with some policies, right? Or you can say username, password, authentication, authorizations. Okay, so like whenever you log into the AWS console, okay, to access your services, you provide the username and password. Okay, that means your complete cloud's resources are protected with the security services, okay, which is referred as the IAM, Identity and Access Management. Okay, so this IAM, which is part of your cloud, okay, and you can use this IAM to configure the different usernames and password and different other policies. Policies in the sense, you like some set of users you want to provide access on some virtual machines, some set of users can have only read-only access on the virtual machines, or maybe some set of users only have the download capabilities on certain storage. Someone can upload the documentation on the storage, so we can provide a different kind of access, okay, which is called the authorizations, okay, with the help of this IAM. Okay, you can configure the IAM in your account to provide these kind of a security features. Okay, and to access the services, now what, suppose that you have configure your AWS cloud. Okay, so to access the cloud, what we have the AWS console. Okay, so let me draw it in the a new page. Okay, now suppose you have created your account, and this is your AWS account. Okay, on the AWS cloud service provider. Okay, so you can access your services from the cloud console. Cloud console, that means from the browser, right? You can access from the browser, and you can do the configurations in your cloud account whatever you want, right? Now apart from this cloud console, you have other option which is called the CLI, or you can say AWS CLI, command line interface. Okay, suppose that you want to do certain kind of automations, and you do not want to go to the AWS console, and you want to do a lot of configurations with the help of automations or scripts. So AWS provide a command line interface utility that you can utilize for configuration of the resources, okay, from the command line as well. So that means to manage your resources that you have in the cloud, so you have the AWS cloud option which you can access from the browser. Second, you can configure the CLI as well. Okay, and with the help of CLI, you can use the AWS utilities, CLI utility, to configure the different resources. Okay, so this everything we are going to cover practically. I will show you on the AWS console as well. I will show you how to configure the CLI, okay, which is required to work with the Terraform as well. Okay, so we have a complete detailed sessions on this one. Now, apart from these two options for management and configuration of your AWS resources, the third option that we are going to learn in this course is Terraform. Okay, Terraform. So apart from managing the resources in your cloud with the help of console, with the help of AWS CLI, the third option we have the Terraform. Okay, and with Terraform, we can do multiple kind of automations in a very easy way. Okay, for end-to-end management of the resources that you have in the cloud console, or you can say in your cloud account, right? So this we are going to cover in this course, how we can use the Terraform for end-to-end management of the cloud resources. So let me quickly summarize what we have learned. So the very first thing what we have learned about the geography. Inside the geography, we have learned about the different regions, right? And inside the regions, we have learned about the different data centers, different data centers. So the region, and then the data centers, and data centers referred as the availability zones in the AWS cloud. And each region has a specific code, okay, by which we can refer that particular region. Okay, and then your resources which is there inside the cloud, for that management of all those resources, you can use the cloud console from the browser. You can use the AWS CLI command line interface utility. And third is the Terraform, which we are going to learn in this course. So let me quickly show you on the AWS console as well. Okay. So this is the link. Okay, you can search in the Google. Okay, that how to create the AWS account. You will end up on this particular page. You can click on create a free account, and then you can provide your some basic details, some valid details like your phone number, your email ID, valid email ID, where you are going to get a code, and you need a credit card for the registration. Okay, so your AWS is not going to deduct any of the amount from your account. It will be a very portion of a particular dollar, or maybe a fraction of a rupees. That is just for the validation if your account is valid or not. Okay, and then without your concerns, no money will be deducted. So don't worry about that one. Okay, you can easily provide your credit card details just for the validation purpose. Then create your account, and after that you can sign into the console, right? So here you can see this is the documentation for the AWS region. So here you can say this is the AWS regions, and if I scroll down, here you will see the code, and then the name, and availability zones, and then geography. Okay, so this is, you can say, this is the geography, which is United States of America. So here you have the name of that particular region is North Virginia, US East. And then this is the code of the region, US hyphen East hyphen 1. So this is the code for this particular region, which is the North Virginia in the United States of America. And in North Virginia, you have 6 availability zones. That means in this particular North Virginia, you will have 6 data centers, which is called the availability zones. Now, similarly, if you go to the Ohio, US East, okay, so this is the code for your Ohio data center, which is in the United States of America. Here you will have availability zones 3. That means there are 3 data centers. Okay, so availability zones may differ because these are the data centers. So based on the different factors, okay, your AWS has configured the different count of data centers in each and every region and the city. So now if I come to India, you can see here in India, this is the Asia Pacific. And then in Asia Pacific, the country, the city is Hyderabad. So in India, and Hyderabad city, you will have a particular 3 availability zones. That means 3 data centers, and this is the code for your Hyderabad. Similarly, if I scroll down and if I come to India again, and for Mumbai data center or the Mumbai region, so this is the code for your Mumbai region. Okay, and we have 3 data centers here in the Mumbai. And similarly, you can see we have a different data centers. And if you notice that every region have at least 3 data centers, not below that one. Right, some of the regions have 6 and 4 data centers, but minimum 3 data centers we have in each and every region. So you can go to this particular page, or you can search for the AWS region, and you will end up on this particular page where you can see the different geography, different regions inside the each and every geography. What is the code of that particular region, and the how many data center or availability zones that we have in that particular region. Okay, so now when you are going to configure your resources, so very first thing you have to select what is the region where you want to configure your resources. Now this is the cloud console. So once you will create your account, okay, you will end up on this particular page, which is the AWS cloud console page. Okay, so very first thing, once you log into the AWS console, you have to click here. Okay, and here you can see there list of all the different regions. So these are the different regions that we have in United States. These are the specific for Asia Pacific. This is for the Canada. This is for the Europe, South America. Okay, and you can see the corresponding code as well. So wherever you want to configure the resources, make sure to select the corresponding data center. Okay, so I have selected the Tokyo as of now. Okay, so now the data center for me is default is Tokyo because I have selected the region as Tokyo, right? It will be displayed here at the top. So that means whatever the resources that I am going to configure now in my account, it will be configured in my Asia Pacific Tokyo data center. Okay, and every resources will be displayed here. If any chance you logged into your account and it is get changed, okay, you may notice that the resources will not be visible. Sometimes you will feel the resources are not visible because your region will be different. For example, I have configured my all the resources in Tokyo region. Okay, but mistakenly I have selected here some different region like the Mumbai. So if I go to the different sections, for example, EC2 for my virtual machines. Okay, so here I would not able to see any resources whatever I have configured, because I have configured my resources in the different data centers. So here you can see instances. If I click on the instances, okay, there is no instances as of now. Okay, zero instances, zero virtual machines, because my resources is in different region, which is the Tokyo. So make sure to select the proper region wherever you are working in the cloud. So now I have selected the Tokyo region. Okay, and now I can see my configure machine which I was there. These are three virtual machines that I have right now. Right. So this is how cloud console works, where you how you select the different regions. Okay, and then with the sessions, okay, you will learn few more details about the AWS CSP.